10-minute Learning with Brandon. We're going to talk about the respiratory system and how vital it is in the human body, in daily life, and all the good things that come from having a healthy respiratory system. So, yeah. All right. So, just to kind of highlight the importance of our respiratory system, just want to have you consider this: is that you can live weeks without food. You hear all the time people in survival situations, they can weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, whatever they can do without food. And we can go days without water, so not as long, but pretty close. But we can only go minutes without air or our oxygen, or we're going to have permanent brain damage. So every cell in your body needs to have oxygen to survive, making our respiratory system essential and vital for life. And that's where we end up seeing a lot of problems for people that come into the hospital. They have a compromised respiratory system for whatever reason. Traumas can happen, just being sick, septic, respiratory infections, those kind of things, and that ends up meaning that you have to have serious or critical help at that moment in time. All right, so our respiratory system includes several key components. So we have the diaphragm, which is our main breathing muscle. It draws air into our lungs. And then we have kind of the airways, which include the nose, mouth, trachea, and bronchi. And then the bronchi branch into smaller tubes called bronchioles, and then it's ending into clusters of air sacs that are also known as alveoli. And where alveoli are, it's where your gas exchange happens for oxygen and releasing of carbon dioxide. Well, we'll kind of get into that. So just kind of like we talked about, when our diaphragm contracts, it pulls air through your nose and mouth. That travels down through your trachea into your bronchi and bronchioles down into your lungs. And then it goes to those alveoli, which in turn mesh with those capillaries. So, and it's at the alveoli that the critical exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide occurs. So again, we bring the oxygen in and we expel or breathe out the carbon dioxide. So the alveoli are surrounded by these tiny blood vessels that we call capillaries, and that's what's going to bring the blood to those areas so that gas exchange can happen. So oxygen from the air that we're breathing in goes into these capillaries, and then the carbon dioxide, which is also a waste product from your body using up the oxygen, is expelled or sent out. So the hemoglobin in the red blood cells captures the oxygen and carries it through the body, ensuring all the cells receive the oxygen that they need, and then vice versa, all of that carbon dioxide or the waste can get expelled out through the lungs. So our lungs also kind of have some defense mechanisms in there to be able to help filter out some things, and particularly to get the particles that are in the air that are going to harm us. So there's cilia, and we kind of talked about this in the past. There's these little tiny hairs that's lining our bronchial tubes, and they kind of help filter things out, but then also move things up and out. And that's why if someone has cystic fibrosis, those things kind of end up sticking like this, and they're not able to move secretions, mucus, and all that garbage up and out. So that's one of the things. If you have healthy cilia, it's helping move, clear, filter all those things and get that out of your system. And it keeps our lungs clean and functioning properly. So it's why it really is pretty important. So besides oxygen and gas exchange, the respiratory system has other roles. It helps to regulate the temperature and humidity of our inhaled air, which, again, if those cilia get compacted because of poor air temperature, so it's too cold and the humidity is not correct, it's going to kind of impede those from moving things up and out, and then you'll have infections and all the bad things that can happen: respiratory failure, respiratory arrest, if you are not able to clear and keep your lungs functioning properly. It also supports our sense of smell and then protects us from all these harmful substances by, like we talked about, filtering those things out. So just a little review. So your airways, they include your sinuses and your nose, your throat, trachea, and bronchi. The lungs have lobes in them. So your left side has 2 because your heart's kind of up in there as well, and your right side, normally anyway, has 3 different lobes: upper, middle, lower, and then your left just got an upper and lower. And so with those, you have your pleura and your alveoli. So, our system is just an amazing system that all works together and all that kind of stuff. Your pleura makes it to where your lungs can open and close, and as you're using your diaphragm as well, it's pretty cool. But it makes everything to where you can kind of slide against your rib cage, if you will, and just makes it to where your lungs can continue to stay open and not collapse. So it makes it kind of awesome that way. And then we also have some blood vessels in the system that are super important. We talked about capillaries. They're the ones that are at the alveoli that actually help with the gas exchange. And then you have your larger different vessels. So you have your pulmonary artery, you have pulmonary vein, and then your arteries and veins throughout your body to send all the oxygen where it needs to go. So, and all of these things are super crucial for gas exchange. So, kind of like we talked about, we need to keep things healthy, and that's with your whole body and everything like that. So, not doing things to compromise your lungs. So, maintaining your lung health does involve having a balanced diet. Regularly exercising. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that necessarily, but it is super important, and you should do that. Avoiding any kind of harmful substances. The biggest one we talk about is smoking, but you talk about asbestos, any kind of consistent dust that you're breathing in. If you're working in certain situations, you need to make sure that you are protecting your lungs. So wearing a mask if you're painting, doing all those different things that if you are breathing in these toxic chemicals, fumes, particles, anything, I know mice, if there's a bunch of mice droppings and you're trying to clean up certain areas and that dust gets into your lungs, it could really, really mess you up. And so really just taking those precautions and everything like that. Getting regular checkups with your doctor and making sure that everything looks good there. That can help out with early detection of any kind of issues, ensuring that your lungs are staying healthy and that you're staying healthy. So definitely something to keep an eye on and kind of keep looking at. And then, to wrap everything up, so we've covered, the vital role of oxygen, how it is definitely one of the life functions that keeps us moving and everything. The components and functions of the respiratory system, how to keep your lungs healthy. Really, the big thing is eat well and exercise. That's really going to, keep you healthy and avoiding any harmful substances that can be breathed into your lungs. And then understanding and maintaining your respiratory health is crucial for your overall well-being. So go ahead and if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Let's have some discussions on maybe what do you do for exercise? What are some of your goals in trying to stay healthy and continue to, have a good, healthy, long life that has good quality and everything like that. So definitely subscribe and hit those notifications, comment, do all the things that, we need to be doing on YouTube to make things successful and everything. So appreciate the time. You all have a good rest of the day. We'll see you later. Bye.